Hey, welcome to Truman Tech Breaks. I'm Thomas, and today we're going to talk about a tool called NotebookLM. NotebookLM is described as an AI-powered research assistant. Essentially, you upload a file to NotebookLM, and it's able to analyze your work and generate a summary of it, provide an FAQ, create a study guide for your content, answer direct questions from you about your file, and even provide a conversational podcast about your work. Really, it's a versatile tool that can help you provide students with alternative formats of instruction, as well as help you reflect on your own content. So the first thing we need is actual content to upload to NotebookLM. So let's go ahead over to my Google Doc here where I've created something. Okay, so I've got a Google Doc here, just some facts about me. This is just something to work with. Obviously, you can work with a lot of other more pertinent stuff to what you'd actually be doing. So today I've just got a bunch of facts starting with stuff about me. As you can see, I don't really want to give too much to AI right now, but then we can go into just stuff that would be more public knowledge like Truman, Kirksville, and Adair, all the way down to the Milky Way itself. I've also, just a note, gone ahead and given it this little prompt here, just to kind of see what happens if it tries to make any sort of connections between the different levels of facts. I don't know if it will or not. And that's not super important. I just think it might be kind of interesting to see how that affects the content that we get. NotebookLM accepts certain types of files. I know it'll tell you on the site, PDFs, audio, MP3, .txt is one type of file that it accepts. So in this particular case, if I download straight from the default for Google Drive, it will not accept that file type, the docx. But if I go to download, I can choose either PDF or plain text. So I'm going to just do .txt for this one, make it simple. Okay, so that's downloaded, and then I just need to go over to NotebookLM and move it over there. Okay, so here I am at NotebookLM. I'm going to go to Create New, and here's where it's asking for my file right here. So I'm just going to find my file that I just downloaded, click and drag it over, and it's going to come in. Right now this is Untitled Notebook. There we go. It's going to fill in the facts there. So you can already see it's providing us with a little summary of the text here. And you can read that on the screen if you'd like. What I can do on this page, this prompt at the bottom right here, is I can ask it questions, and it gives you some questions that can kind of pre-prompts if there's anything that you want to ask, but if there's anything specific you want to ask too, you can do that. So maybe right off the bat, we might ask it if it sees any connection. We'll see what it says. May take just a second here. While it's doing that, let's go ahead and bring your attention over to this audio overview. You can see the deep dive conversation. This is that podcast I was talking about. Let's go ahead and start generating it now. It does take a little bit of time to generate, which is why I'm starting now. And you can see we've got an answer here over on the side. If we wanted to, it looks like quite a long answer, so I don't know if I'm going to read through it all right now. But it does kind of go through and talk about different levels and stuff of what I have here. On the side here under notes, we can also get some information here. So for instance, let's take a look at the study guide for this document. Again, this will take a little bit of time to generate. We'll go ahead and just fast forward until we get there. So if we click on that, then it's actually creating a little study guide quiz for us out of the questions that I had listed here. It also gives us an answer key. We've got essay questions, key terms. Somehow the Bermuda Triangle made it into this. That's interesting. So yeah, just kind of a useful tool if you wanted to create this for your students, or your students could even create study guides out of your content, assuming that is okay with you. Going back, we've got this briefing doc. So this will create a new note as well on this briefing doc. I'll go ahead and just create each of these notes now, actually. And let's fast forward again. Okay, so the first thing that comes up here is our FAQ. So let's go to the FAQ. Um, I personally find that the FAQ is interesting in that it is really good for a reflective tool, especially for creative writing projects that I've done. If you can use the FAQ and it actually kind of finds issues that some readers may find with your project as well. So it kind of looks for those holes almost like a critical analysis of your own project. For readers, it's good too, just because it can kind of help them see some of the big picture stuff of your project as well. Additionally, then we have this timeline. So this is kind of interesting in that it's kind of taking all of these big picture facts, since this was a fact-based page here, and just kind of arranging them into a historical timeline chronologically. Well, I'm a character, right, along with Joseph Baldwin and Harry Truman and John Adair. That's interesting. So that's just kind of another way to arrange this information if you were so inclined. And finally, then we've got the briefing doc here. So this is just going to give you a kind of in-depth briefing doc. It'll go into themes. So it's kind of interesting to see, again, in reflection, what AI as a critical reader sees as the themes in your project. Kind of the facts about each different thing. And again, it's kind of like holding up a mirror to your work and being able to see, exactly what someone else might see it as, but also, again, a useful tool for your students as well to use as a study guide. All right, well, last thing we're going to talk about is the audio overview. I'm going to go ahead and just cut for right now, and we'll bring the audio overview back once it's available. Again, it does take a little bit of time. Okay, so our audio overview is finished. As you can see, we've got a little podcast episode here. It's about almost 18 minutes long, which isn't bad. Usually the more information you have, the longer the episode may end up being, sometimes up to about half an hour or so. So let's go ahead and just listen to it. What these are really useful for is that it really presents your material in a digestible, conversational, just kind of enjoyable format that your students could listen to in the car ride if they wanted to. I mean, there are probably a lot of them. I know I listen to podcasts on the road all the time. So it's kind of definitely an alternative way to access your information. So let's check it out.
All right, listeners, get ready, because today we're going deep, really deep.
Deep? How deep?
Like from a single person all the way out to the Milky Way galaxy.
Oh, wow, that's a deep dive.
Yeah, and get this, our source material is this document called Thomas's Facts from Me to the Milky Way.
Okay, sounds intriguing.
And it's structured like those Russian nesting dolls,
Yeah.
Each fact sort of expands our view a little bit further.
I'm starting to see where this is going. Love it.
Now, Thomas, our mystery man, seems to be pretty private.
Mm-hmm.
First fact, it says he's into AI, but isn't sharing too much personal stuff.
Yeah, I can respect that. Totally get it.
Right, but the things he does share, well, they take us on a wild ride.
So what's the first stop on this journey?
Well, fact number 2, simple but it's important. Thomas loves movies.
Who doesn't? Universal truth right there.
Exactly.
I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit. You don't have to hear about my love of movies here, but let's just see kind of what it talks about with a little bit more context, a little further into the podcast here.
Imagine, I don't know, something that's been spun around too fast, like a galactic frisbee gone wrong.
A warped galaxy. Okay, that's a little hard to picture. What could even do that?
Well, think about it. The Milky Way is constantly bumping and grinding with other galaxies, pulling on each other with all that, gravity. And over billions of years, it it shapes the Milky Way into this unique form it has today. Reminds us that the universe isn't just like sitting still, it's dynamic, always changing.
Even galaxies can get a little bent out of shape. Makes you wonder what else is going on out there.
Oh.
So this is, I think, just kind of a really interesting tool because it takes your content and just kind of riffs on it. It talks about your content and explores it in a conversational way. You'll notice you can even hear like breaths taken by the AI voices. Sometimes they'll actually even mispronounce words on purpose just to make it seem more authentic, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, just definitely an interesting tool. Now there is this other interactive mode that appears to be new, and I've messed around it with a little bit, but let's check it out and see. Basically, what the interactive mode does is it allows me to become kind of a participant in the podcast as well. So I can interject, and in theory, these two podcasters will respond to me. So let's check it out and see how it works. I haven't done this a whole lot yet, so our mileage may vary, but let's see. Okay, so when I'm ready, I'll just press the play button.
All right, listeners, get ready because today we're going deep, really deep.
Deep? How deep?
Like from a single person all the way out to the Milky Way galaxy.
Oh, wow, that's a deep dive.
Yeah, and get this. Our source material is this document called Thomas Facts From Me to the Milky Way.
Okay, sounds intriguing.
Whoa, did someone just break the fourth wall? Let's hear it.
Hey, so I'm Thomas, and I am the creator of the list, and I'm happy to join the podcast.
Well, hello, Thomas. It's great to have you here.
Seriously, this is awesome. We were just talking about your facts.
We're so glad you could join our deep dive into your list.
Yeah, so now we can say hi to the actual person.
And maybe you can even chime in if we get anything wrong.
Okay, let's unpack this. So we were talking about how your list is structured.
It's like a set of Russian nesting dolls. Each fact expands the view a little bit further.
And the first thing we noticed, well, you're a man of mystery.
You say you enjoy using AI, but you're not sharing too much personal stuff right now.
We totally get it, though.
Yeah, privacy is important.
But you gave us some great jumping off points. We can talk about all this stuff.
All right, not gonna lie, that was a little weird. But yes, that is kind of an interesting way too that you can either make your own podcast for your students to listen to with you in it as with the AI hosts, or and then you can download this when you're done in the end. Or if you're interested, you can also have your students interact with a podcast and have them provide you with the audio for that as well. One other thing to note is if you notice, once I interjected, the podcast went on a totally different trajectory than what it was originally going to. Instead of just going into my list, they actually began engaging with me about my list. So I thought that was kind of interesting as well. All right, so this video is getting a little long, so I'm not going to go too into depth on this last part here, but as you can see, right now my Thomas Facts from Me to the Milky Way is the only source added. If I wanted to add more sources, I could actually compile multiple sources all into the same project. And NotebookLM would kind of take those ideas and kind of mash them together all into one project and do some really cool stuff with that. So if that's something you're interested in kind of diving into more, let me know, and I can maybe make a future video on compiling projects in NotebookLM. Well. But yeah, so this is NotebookLM. Lots of really interesting ways to use this. I mean, what I'm doing here is really just kind of the most basic stuff you can do with NotebookLM. I know last year when we went to QM Connect in November, people were using this tool in just mind-bending ways, just really cool stuff. So we've got our QMO, I'm sorry, conference coming up in February, last day of February, from 9 to noon this year. And I don't know if NotebookLM is going to be covered there, but I know for sure other similar AI tools are if NotebookLM is not. So if you want to see just the way people are really harnessing these tools in just fascinating ways, again, that is the last Friday in February from 9 to noon. QMO, we hope to see you there. And again, if you have any other questions about NotebookLM, let me know and I'd be happy to dive into it with you. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good week.